As our world awakens, let us go within and know that this day is blessed, that this time together is blessed, that our speaker is blessed, that those listening now are blessed, those who are listening later are blessed, that all is well, and so it is. Welcome to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. We are a path that honors all paths. And this morning, I've asked Dana to light our candles. And as we begin the ceremony that celebrates this oneness of life, which acknowledges that all people in all faiths come from one universal presence we call spirit, we light the first candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of pristine spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. For Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. For Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. For Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. For Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. For New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the last candle is the healing candle of love. We invite you, in the stillness of your own mind, to bring to awareness the names of anyone you wish to be included in this healing flame of love and light. And now that our flames have been lighted, we move forward into our celebration, realizing and reaffirming that all paths lead to God. Our sacred reading today comes from the Science of Mind magazine from July 2019. Sherry and Ben Jameson wrote, "If you've been around metaphysics for a while, you know that your attitude and the stories you tell yourself influence your experience. Even more so, those thoughts are part of the co-creation process with spirit. Whether you're conscious of it or not, directing our thinking is easier to do when we're consciously working on manifesting something. But it's helpful to have a go-to reminder. The principle is working in the everyday. Life happens, moments as well. So go ahead, give yourself permission to laugh now, because it's going to be funny later." Back to our lovely choir.
I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God in everything. I know joy, I know peace, I know goodness surrounding me. I know happiness in every breath I breathe. I know God in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom. I know beauty that lives in me. I know perfection in what life brings. I know God in everything. I know God's in everything. I know God's in everything.
Thank you. God is in everything. And so, again, I want to welcome you to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Toni Mason Shannon. I am a licensed practitioner with the Global Science of Mind, whatever, and here. So, let's see. Welcome and announcements. I bet they've got something they want me to say for welcome. Maybe not. All right. Well, you are welcome here. And whether you're watching live, whether you're in the center, whether you're watching live, or whether you're watching later, we are glad you're here. We know you have a choice to where you take your spiritual nourishment, and we are grateful that you are here with us this morning. I've got some wonderful announcements. The office is closed on Monday, August 5th, tomorrow. And regular Monday office hours will resume on August 12th. This coming up Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we're going to be visioning for Inner Peace like we do the first Wednesday of every month. And you just call in from wherever you are. You just call in, and then we vision for Inner Peace. It's absolutely fantastic. That number is 267-807-9557, and then it's going to ask you a prompt, and it's going to be 159261. If you didn't happen to catch all that, you can go to our website, and it's all listed there. There will be a celebration of life for Roy and Mary Heidel. Did I say that right? Okay, good. On August 17th, here at the center at 2 p.m., and it'll be live streamed, but if you can attend in person, it's going to be a beautiful celebration. And on August 18th, Dr. Ed Bauman is going to be, you can join him for a delightful discussion on how to apply the principles of eating for health with affirmative prayer. Learn how to master stress, cleanse, glow, and sanctify your body, mind, and whole being. Practice saying yes to all that nourishes you and no to disturbing low vibrational food, beverages, media, and self-talk. No low-vibing people. 60 minutes of lecture, discussion, followed by 30 minutes of open Q&A. Healing food and refreshments provided immediately after the service. It's on a donation basis, a love offering. The funds go to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Healing. Please register so we know how much food to have if you get a chance. Now, if you find yourself on the 18th and you didn't register and you want to turn up. Sorry. Dr. Ed Bowman is also known as Dr. B. He's a pioneer in the field of holistic health, nutrition, and culinary arts. Dr. B's wise approach integrates 50 years of study, practice, and innovation in spiritual, clinical, and community service. Ed and his lovely wife, Chris, are the founders of the Bauman College, Holistic Nutrition and Culinary Arts, and BaumanWellness.org, and co-creators of numerous courses and books. They are the proud parents of Jessica Bauman, vocalist at the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. Dr. B consults individuals and groups on how to optimize well-being and overcome chronic and life-threatening health challenges. And now, wait, I know what we do now. Oh, yes. Thank you. So we love to pray here. I don't know how I forgot that. So we offer free Om, 1 moment miracles after the meeting. So if all the practitioners in the room would just stand up for just a quick second. So we've got Cynthia in the back, Judy, Bob, Robert, Reverend Don, Linda Steiner, myself, any of us after service, even if we're chatting away with somebody, just tap us on the shoulder. We would love to hold you in prayer. If you have something on your mind, if there's anything that's bothering you, if you cried yourself to sleep last night, or if there's something so good in your life you just want more of it, let us support you in that. Also, another way to get a spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, is in the back of each one of these seats is a little green card you can fill out and drop in the box by the door, and our practitioners will be happy to pray you up for a week. And then also, if none of those appeal to you, you can go online and fill in. If you go to the little thing where it says prayer, go down, you can fill out an online prayer request. It goes to Reverend Linda. She zooms it out to all of us, and we will know the truth for you. Okay, so what are you waving at me? Oh, is there anybody here for the first time? I'm so sorry. And if you're brave enough to raise your hand, we're going to give you a packet. And if you don't want to raise your hand, you can just signal to Judy and she'll slip you one. And if you're online and you want one, just type it in on our website and we will mail you one. All right. Anything else? I got it all? Okay, so let's welcome Reverend Dom for the minister's moment.
Thanks, Tony. We are getting ready for fall classes. Things are falling into place. Kaleem and Robert are going to teach a class. We don't know what yet, but it's going to be good. Well, the home office is coming out with a whole new suite of classes, and everybody's waiting with a bated breath to see what they are. We know they're going to be shorter, but we don't know what they are yet. So people are waiting for that. And if we don't get it in enough time, they plan to do foundations. Linda and Judy are in the same boat. They are going to have a class. We don't know exactly what yet, thinking it might be the next in the Jane Beach series that they did before. And let's see and Tony will undoubtedly be doing something online. So we're going to have a big suite of classes. And then Ann and I will do a swan song, our last class. We're going to do the Bible wisdom class again, except it's not very good. It's difficult for me. Can you see me doing an interpretive dance? Yes. Really? Yes. Yeah. I sort of lost it when I was supposed to do the psychodrama of Martha, Mary, Lazarus, and Jesus. And I was hoping I'd get Martha or Mary for a character, or Lazarus. That would have been the best. But the backbone of the class, the way Ann and I are going to do it, is going to be the same text that we use in that class, and it's called Learn to Live. It's by Irvin Seal, and that's going to be the name of this class, is Learn to Live. And it's going to be centered around taking the parables of Jesus and seeing how they apply to modern day life, your life. How can you get something out of these ancient parables? And what are they really trying to say? There are 4 target groups of possible people in this class. Those who are from a Christian background and kind of wonder why we don't talk more about Jesus in Science of Mind. Those of you who may have had a Christian background and don't like it and think that it's, and are thankful that we never talk about it. The third group is those of you who are from another faith tradition and are curious as to what Science of Mind, religious science, teaches about these aspects of Christianity. And the fourth group are anyone who wants to have fun, because this is a fun class. And as a bonus, if we can juggle it all out, because we're sharing space with some 12-step groups and everything else, but if we get this pulled off, we will, each week, it's going to be a 5-week class, 4 of the 5 weeks, we will have an hour movie. And it's a documentary. It's called From Jesus to Christ. And it is how the man, Jesus of Nazareth, became the Savior, how he became the Messiah, the Christ. And it's beautifully done, pictures of that part of the world at that time. It's really well done. And so after we do the kind of academic part each week, if we can pull it off, we'll be showing it here after that class. And I think I've taken already too much time. But that is the minister's long moment.
My joy to introduce to you our very own licensed spiritual practitioner, Linda Steiner, who we all were waiting for this talk. We've been waiting. We cannot wait, and I won't make you wait any longer. Here she is.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Please turn to each other, greet each other, and say, "I see you." All right, rein it in. Come back. Come back. Come back.
You started it, Linda.
Fish on. Come on, come back. Come back. I love doing that because it gives me a chance to spread my paperwork out. But then you guys go off on your own journey. Come back. Oh, so the title of today's talk is Phone Call to Mom. So the things that you need to know about my mom for this talk are, my mom was a nurse. It's great to have a nurse in the family. And she instilled in me a deep, deep, deep respect for the medical field, for nurses, for doctors. From the minute I was born, that was instilled in me. She also died 24 years ago, which was really inconvenient for this story, but so phone call to mom. It was a Wednesday, and I started to not feel well. My symptoms were my favorite thing in the world, throwing up. Nauseous, with no relief. I also had chills, and then I'd have a fever. Then I'd go back to chills, and then I'd have a fever. I mean, it was like every 10 minutes I was flipping from one to the other. Of course, a lot of you know that I had shoulder surgery, so I was still dealing with my shoulder not healthy yet. It was still painful. And because I was throwing up so much, I was in pain. And my stomach, if you tried to touch my stomach, my lower back, it was excruciating. So Friday night comes along, I'm not sleeping. So somewhere in the middle of the night, the thought occurs to me that I might have to go to the hospital. So what did I do? I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, what do I do? Do I go or do I stay? What do I do, Mom? She didn't answer. But I was supposed to take care of Bob, the dog. And so about 6 a.m. I texted Holly and said, I can't take care of Bob today. And then about 8:30, I knew I had to go. So I call up Holly my neighbor Holly, who does not answer the phone ever. She answered the phone. And I said, hospital. And she said, do you need to go to the hospital? And I said, yes. And she said, I will be there in 5 minutes. And sure enough, she was there in 5 minutes. Mask, gloves, bottle of Lysol. That was great. Because I was so nauseous, that ride to the hospital was excruciating. And I'm literally leaned forward, and I was no longer throwing up anything of any substance, because that was all gone. But I'm still throwing up in her car because of the motion. She put her hand on my back, and she rubbed it. And she said, it's going to be okay. So I get to the hospital, and they weren't busy, so I was taken directly back to a room. A nurse came in, doctor came in, and all the stuff started happening. Blood was taken, an IV was administered, just, x-rays and ultrasounds, because my symptoms were kind of all over the board, and so they had to kind of test me for everything. So I didn't have COVID. I didn't have RSV. I didn't have some other thing that comes up on blood work. But my blood pressure was off the chart. I had concerning numbers with my kidney and liver. And so we spent several hours kind of eliminating pancreatitis, kidney stones. You're pregnant. No. Woo! So, so they're pouring, and they put I think 8 different medications into the IV bag. But the problem is over all these hours, I couldn't get comfortable. I couldn't, this arm, I couldn't lay this way, I couldn't lay down straight, I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit, I was, couldn't lay down. And so the nurse, and I kept asking the nurse, oh, man. So we kind of come to a place where we've eliminated emergency surgery stuff, right? But I'm really sick. I'm not doing well, and I'm still really nauseous. So, and I have to say, the nurse and the doctor kept coming in the room. I kept getting checked on, and I kept getting information, oh, the x-ray was good, da-da-da. But it came to the point where the nurse came in and had a conversation with me, and it was, we'd really like to admit you, but we don't have a bed. And because you're so uncomfortable, we're going to have you make the decision of whether to stay or to go. I couldn't make a decision to save my life. And she knew that. So she said, you know what? I'm going to let you think about this, and I'll be back. Mom, do I stay or do I go? Mom. A different nurse walks into the room, and he says, Fran went on her lunch, so I'm going to be taking care of you. And here are your discharge instructions. Okay, I'm going home. Takes all this stuff off of me, and I go home. I go home with 13 pages of discharge instructions, 13 pages where the doctor elicited a promise from me that I would read them. And then they also wanted me to follow up with my doctor. But the biggest instruction was, you might have to come back. We don't want you to hesitate to come back. Do you understand that? You might have to come back. Okay. So I go home, another excruciating car ride, in which they had given me some Tylenol and Maalox by mouth, and that didn't make it to my house. So Sunday comes, Monday comes. I'm not doing any better. I am not getting any better. I'm still nauseous. I am still thinking I'm going to throw up every minute. So Monday night, I'm not sleeping either. So now we're about 7 days into this. No sleep, nauseous. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, Mom, do I stay or do I go? Do I stay or do I go? So you guys all know practitioner Cindy Hensley? Oh my God. If you don't, get to know this woman. She's phenomenal. So she found out that I had been ill, and she takes no prisoners. So Tuesday morning, she calls me to because she's on me. What are you doing? Are you eating? Are you drinking? Where are you going? What do you, all this stuff. So Tuesday morning, should I stay or should I go? Cindy calls me and talks me through it. And we decide that I have to go back. The other thing that they told me on Saturday is that you need to consider yourself highly contagious. So now I don't want to call anybody to take me to the hospital. And I have, between the shoulder and everything else, I have paid my deductible. So I called an ambulance. And the other reason I called the ambulance was because I didn't think I was going to survive another car ride. And I figured that the ambulance would be much smoother. And it was. It was. So now we pull into Providence, and they're talking to Providence, and they're like, oh, we think we got you a bed. Good, because I'm dying. We get to the hospital, and they're wheeling me through ER, and I'm like, okay, it's going to happen. There's no room. There's no room. So they put me in a wheelchair, and they push me out to the waiting area. And they leave me there for hours. Hours. I was so sick. All I wanted to do was curl up in the corner because that wheelchair was so uncomfortable. Now I'm in a pain level of 10. I'm nauseous, sweating, I'm shivering, and I'm sitting. So finally, a nurse comes through the door and says, Linda, and I'm like, she takes one look at me and she goes over to the intake people, and they're having a conference. She comes back, they call another name, and she comes back and I'm like, and she comes over to me and she says, we were going to take you back to pediatrics, but you're really sick and you need an adult doctor. And she turned around and she walked away from me. And I'm like, my entire body reacted. Now I'm crying. I'm just like, and I'm too sick to figure out what to do. Well, I must have made enough of a scene that about 10 minutes later they came and got me. And if anybody knows Providence, there's this secret little area when the ER is full, and it's called basic care. And so she takes me back to basic care. She puts me in a room that only has a chair, but then she's like, oh, this isn't going to work. She takes me to another room that has a bed. I get changed. Now, in my marathon in the waiting room, they actually took my blood in the waiting room. So I'm in the room, I'm waiting. The doctor comes in. I'm Dr. T. You're not sick enough to be here. Why are you here? What is it that you want? Like, nothing? What do you say to that? I'm like, I have 13 pages. I brought my 13 pages of discharge instructions. I'm like, he said, I'm going to discharge you. You should have heard that phone call to Cindy Hensley. Oh my God. She was like, go get that doctor and put him on the phone now. And I'm like, we'll call you. The nurse comes back in the room, and I said, so you're going to discharge me. And she looked at me and she said, give me a minute. She leaves the room, and about 15 minutes later she comes back, and she's got an IV bag. And I don't know what she said to the doctor, but they put me on an IV, and then they put some nausea medication in it. And that's the last time I saw the nurse. So I'm there, and I'm not doing well. Shivering, and then I'm hot, shivering, and then I'm hot, and I can't get comfortable. And I have to go to the bathroom, and so I have to schlep down the hallway to go to the bathroom. But on the way back, I see the doctor, and I'm like, and he's like, yeah, I'll get to you. I'm not sure how the thought entered my body cavity to leave. I don't know how that happened because I'm the daughter of a nurse. You respect medical. But the intake people came in, and the last thing they said to me was, can we send you a bill? Yeah, you do that. Mom, what do I do? What do I do? I did something that I never thought I would do. I took out my IV and I left because I knew that I was not going to get the care or the attention, or even that I had a doctor that cared. So I took out my own IV, took off the heart pads. I go home. I'm a mess. But at least now I'm able to kind of lay down. I knew I needed sleep. And so I was able to actually keep a sleeping pill down, and I went to sleep. And that's like, it took many, this whole thing took about 3 weeks from start to feeling better. But I was so upset, and I think some of you talked to me during this time period, hearing the story, and I just was so like, I had nothing left, and I was just crying, and I was just so scared because they couldn't identify what it was, so we went with a virus, gastrovirus. Ugh. But I came to a point, because I'm talking to people and I'm so upset, I came to a point where I needed to make a decision on whether this was going to be my story or could I forgive? I've been coming here for like 18 years. So I knew that I needed to forgive. I didn't know what happened to that guy. Maybe his dog died. Maybe he got served divorce papers. I don't know. But I finally came to, after several days, came to this, okay, I'm just going to forgive this situation. So now, I'm still upset. I ended up going to my personal physician, and whatever he was looking at that day, he blew off because she was really concerned still. So anyways, forgiveness. Then I'm talking to my dear friend Allison, my mentor, my amazing friend. And she says to me, "Did you see Natalie's letter?" I'm like, "Natalie's letter? What are you talking about?" Now, Natalie is Allison's daughter. As a matter of fact, she's here with us today, this amazing young woman right here. Now, mind you, while I was sick, I never saw Natalie, I never talked to Natalie, I never, texted Natalie. But Allison told Natalie what was happening to me. And unbeknownst to me, she went onto the Providence patient portal and found the complaint form. I want to read a little bit of what A dear family friend of ours recently fell ill and had to go to Providence ER in Anchorage. I am deeply concerned by the experience she had there. She was told, "You don't look sick enough to be here," amongst a mockery of many mistreatments while there. It was bad enough that she took out her own IV and left. No one was even around to see her off or to try and convince her otherwise. She left defeated, unwell, but now spiritually as well as physically. I've never seen her so sick. I've never known her to seek medical care in this way. She didn't deserve the invalidation she experienced. No one does. In a culture where health care is so hard to seek, it's vital that those in dire straits enough to actually get it are not laughed out of the way, and that their concerns are taken seriously. The average citizen does not know what sick enough means. Luckily, society has medical experts to ease those fears with their training and medical expertise. You guys can read the full letter afterwards. I'm going to skip to a different part. The fallout from this has been missed days of work, tears and fears. She has sworn off Providence ER. She is a mess to her boss, us, her friends, about how emotionally violated she was while she was at her all-time physical low. This is brilliant. There is now an increased health risk from this singular and impactful negative experience from your ER. You have created a medical avoidance cycle which increases medical mortality rates. How will Providence repair this? How will the individuals involved be shocked out of all their compassion fatigue to realize that they hurt someone and they are likely hurting others? Medical trauma is a negative defining mark in American healthcare. And while individuals may not think they are contributing to this, these particular individuals did. And they need to know that. Woo! Mom. My mom must have inhabited your body, because that sounds like my mom. I might do forgiveness, but she was gonna make sure that this got corrected or this got notice. The phone rings, and I answer it. It's a gentleman who identified himself as the co-manager of Providence's emergency room. And did I have a moment and could chat? And you know what? He listened to me. He listened to what I had to say. He asked good questions. And at the end, we were talking about what could be different. What could they do different? And then, because I was still ill, he said to me, if you need to come back, let me give you my phone number. I need you to call me. I need you to call me if you need to come back, and I need you to call me if anything else comes up. Can you feel the healing? Thanks, Mom. Now, this is a really long story without me talking about spirituality or our philosophy or anything this. But I'm going to ask you. We teach here that your thoughts create. And so in thinking of this story, I realized that every time I'm like, Mom, the answer showed up. Whether it was Holly driving me to the hospital, whether it was the nurse giving me discharge instructions, whether it was that thought to leave, that the universe, because I kept asking, the universe gave me what I needed. The universe took care of me in a situation where it didn't look like anyone else in the medical field was going to step up. The universe kept giving me the answers. Isn't that amazing? Have you guys thought about this? Your thoughts create. And so when you put that into the universe and the universe goes, okay, here. Now, granted, it took me a couple of weeks to realize that I was walking hand in hand with Spirit the whole time, and my mother was standing behind with a baseball bat. True story, if you knew my mom. So, the other thing I want to talk about that's important, that I want you guys to understand, because I know there's like, oh, you were alone. No, I was never alone. I was never alone. Because I heard from a ton of people in this room. I kept getting text messages. How are you doing? What do you need? What can I bring you? Do you have prescriptions? What can I do? I mean, my phone was blowing up from all of you. And even when I didn't respond to you, you kept texting. Are you okay? What do you need? What can I bring you? I was never alone. And so if you take nothing else from this talk, what I want you to hear is that you can be part of this community. Show up and participate here, because what you walk away with is an entire team of people who will show up for you as Spirit would want them to. Has anybody else ever been in a situation where they felt alone? This place is magic. This place can change your life. This philosophy will have you getting to forgiveness and letting go of the bad things that happened to you. And so I invite all of you to think about that this week. Are you all in? Are you half in? Do you have a toe in? Are you the gold medal winner of this community? Or are you the person who came in fourth by 1/10 of a second? So I have to say this was a hard talk to do, because it's hard to expose yourself. As I said, it took about 3 weeks. I was still really sick for about another week. But I'm still here. And I have no doubt that this experience is one of the extraordinary ones that I will remember the rest of my life. Thank you. Namaste.
There, if we only pick up the phone and call. We make that request upon the universe, and it always, always replies. We know that we are never alone. No matter how singular we may be, we are never alone. As we go through this thing called life, we are given opportunities, we are given challenges, we are given experiences, and it is not how we react to those experiences, it's how we react to ourselves. It's how we view the world in front of us. We all have an Allison, a Natalie, a Cindy in our lives. Maybe not physically, maybe not those people with those names, but we have that infinite presence that is the collective of all the Allisons, all of the Natalies, all of the Cindys, all of each other in this community. And it is from that source that we realize that we are greater than any effect. We are greater than this horrible, horrible illness. We are greater than lack and limitation. We are greater than separation from God or separation from one another. That infinite presence is always the phone call to mom away. And it is always with us. And so we can just give thanks. We give thanks for our awareness of the power and the presence of the universe, God, Spirit, within our lives. We just give thanks for this. We get our bloated nothingness out of the way. We let it flow through us, on and out. And
the last minute. That's how I do it. I promise myself in this moment to keep my heart wide open. And with every breath, I am grateful. You sounded beautiful. Thank you. Your offering. And as we recognize Susie, Chris, and Michelle are online today. Welcome. Take your offering. Just put it on your heart. And I just, for a minute, be grateful. I'm grateful to be standing here. And repeat with me our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. Thank you.
All right. No children's?
I don't know.
Nope.
No?
All right. So, I Benedict. All right. So thank you for coming today. And as we leave this center, whether by exiting the Facebook Live or by leaving through the doors, know that the blessings go with us. They continue to experience and express as us and through us, blessing everyone we come into contact with. And knowing that God is the life within, around, and through all the tires, roads, cars, whether you go home or somewhere else. And with gratitude for our minister, for our speaker, for our music, for this meeting place, we just say thank you, and so it is.